Hello guys, I hope everyone is able to hear me and there's no issues in audio and video. So we'll start pretty soon. Let's wait for a few people and we should be all ready to go.
All right, so I think we are good to start. Hmm. So, hello everyone. Hi, this is Gaurav from the Youth Project, and you might have already been introduced to Devansh. He took a session a day before, in which he explained a bit about HTML, how to get started with HTML. We'll be continuing that thing today, and we'll be moving forward with HTML and get to know it better and think how we can actually design very wonderful pages by using just a few commands. So let's get started, and let me share my screen. It's gonna give me just 2 minutes. Meanwhile, if you have any doubt, any problem, anytime, then mostly welcome. You can go ahead and put your things on the comment section and move it. And it doesn't need to be just related to the topic that we are teaching today. It might be something else too. Like if there is something that is in your mind regarding web development and you want to know a lot more about it, that how to move forward. And when you are actually starting out, it is a kind of a big thing because many people don't actually get it at where to start and where to go ahead and do that. Right? So it's always a good idea to actually ask those questions as well, like which framework you should learn, like what should be the like path that we should follow and all these things. And we'll be discussing that also moving forward in this session. So without wasting any more time, let's just share my screen. This should be my home window. There you go. Wow. I like this inception kind of view. Anyway, fine. So let me close all the things that I don't need at the moment. Okay, cool. So, Devansh already told you about that, we use a coding editor to actually code. So, the thing that we love the most right now is Visual Studio Code, and it's totally up to you if you want to do something else. You want to use Sublime, or you want to use Atom or any other code editor. Even that would work. And if you are an old school guy and you are very much comfortable using Notepad, you can even use that. So, well, everyone is welcome, right? But yeah, we'll start with the Visual Studio Code. And of course, I don't have the files that Devansh have worked on. So I'll be creating a new project, and it will be the same project that we actually saw yesterday. It will be on the same timeline. Like we'll be trying to create a Type Nigeria website, and where it will be having multiple containers, and we'll be trying to position them using CSS or style. So anyway, whenever you need to start a new project, it's always a good practice to start it on a new folder, right? Every new project actually deserves at least one folder, right? That's the least you can do. So I'll be creating a type Nigeria. One thing that you can notice over here is that when I'm creating this folder, you will see that I am not put any spaces. Although I can put a space, that's not a big problem. But when we talk about web development, it's always a good practice to not have any spaces in the names of the files, because when you write down file names on your URL window on your browser, Chrome, Edge, Firefox, you see that you don't have spaces over there, right? So that's why it's a good practice. So once this folder is done, of course, it's going to be an empty folder for the first time. And the next thing that you can do is start creating files. But I don't like creating files directly. What I do is I want to open this into my Visual Studio Code. So the best way to do it would be just right click, and then you'll have an option open with code if the Visual Studio Code is completely and properly configured. If you are not getting this option, don't worry, you can directly open Visual Studio Code, and then let's open it first. Meanwhile, you are mostly welcome to put down any comments that you like. Okay, I can also open this so that I know what you guys are talking about. Yeah, Shubham, I think there might be a little bit of background noise because actually the problem is uh, the room that I'm sitting is just before a very busy street, and there's not much thing that I can work on that. So sorry for that. And I have I'm working on something that will actually help me to figure it out, but it won't happening today. So I'll be just closing anything that is already open. So I'll use close folder. There you go. Now, this is kind of a screen that you are going to see when you first open Visual Studio Code. You're going to see something like new file, open folder, and all these things, and left you are having some options. What you need to do is you need to click on open folder, and from here you can actually uh, go and select that folder, and it should be somewhere here in desktop. Here's the Nigeria. Perfect. There you go. So the benefit that you get when you open a folder in Visual Studio Code is the first thing over the left side is the file pan where you can see all the files. So right now there are no files. So let's create a first file. Let's wait for this game. So whenever we are doing this, you can go back to our file explorer, and you can see that over here also those files are being created right simultaneously. Cool. Fine. So let's go back here and let's start writing our first HTML code. And every time remember, this is going to be a first line that actually tells that we are actually speaking HTML5. And there is a title. Welcome to support and hello. So let's see if it's working. So to open this, it's very simple. You can directly go to your uh, file explorer, and after you open your file explorer, you can double click on the file, and it should open. Right? I have a pretty good extension also, which also automatically gives me a preview here. But anyway, I think that's not the best option to open a file. I think a better option would be there is an extension over here that you can install, and it's known as live server. So here you can see it's like on second, one, two, three, four, fifth. So this is like the fifth option. Here you can search live server. These are like apps which you can install in Visual Studio Code, and you can click on install over here to install this. So the benefit that I get after install this is when I right click on my any file, then I get this option that is open with live server. So when I click on this open with live server, it automatically opens a new browser instance, and there I can actually see the preview. Now, again, the one more benefit that I get because I'm using this is if I modify something here and I just press Control S, you see that my page is also reflected. It's also reflected in my page without any problem. Right? So, okay, that's that. Now, first thing we have seen that our web application or website is working right now. Let's recap to what we were trying to create. So let's go ahead and then we open white. Let's not be good. And let's create a new whiteboard. There you go. So the kind of application that we are trying to create or the website that we are trying to create is something like this. Just a second. Come on. Yeah, fine. So for example, this is going to be my web browser. Okay. So at the top, that's not the one. Let's try again. At the top, we are going to have here the type logo. Here we are going to have links like home, about, contact, all those links. Then we are going to have two sections here. So this is going to be like the first section, and this is going to be my second section. And at the bottom, we are going to have a footer, and inside the footer, it's going to be like copyright, like you normally see in most of the websites, right? It's going to be 20. I hope it's going well for every one of you. Project. That's it. Sorry for my handwriting. Fine. So that's the kind of website that we are trying to create. And as it was mentioned yesterday in the yesterday session, you need to consider every single item as a container, or to be like having to use a different terminology, you can consider every single of these groups into a box. So this could be one box, this could be another box, this could be another box, this could be another box, like that. So if you want to actually design a very good, pretty, beautiful web page using HTML and CSS, so it's very important that you get to know, you are like very much cautious about how you are grouping elements. So for example, first group is like this group, that is this is first, this is second, and this is third. So I can like at the most top level, I can divide my web page into three different parts. One is the header, and then there is a main content, and then third is the footer. Then I can subdivide this header into two parts. One is this box, and another is this box, right? Then this box cannot be further divided, right? But I can divide this box into multiple three boxes, that is one, two, and three. So this is how you need to group it. You can consider it as folders. This is like your folder structure. So first folder will be like a root folder inside which everything will be there. And inside the root folder, you are going to have three things, that is header, content, and footer. And then in the header, you are going to have two things, that is the logo and the navigation links. And inside the navigation links, you are going to have three different options over here, right? So that's how you need to like visualize it, and visualization is a very important part, because if you are able to comfortably and successfully segregate or divide or classify all the different options which are there in all the different items or elements which are, it becomes a piece of cake to actually design the web page. You know, most of the web page that you see today, it might look very, very much complicated, but if you actually divide them into subparts, like it's normally said that if you have a large problem, you need to divide it into multiple small problems and try to solve a single one of them at the single time. So that's a very good approach that actually helps you even if you are trying to create a good HTML page as well. Okay, so let's follow this strategy. The topmost abstraction or the topmost classification that we have is three elements. So I need three elements. Okay, the first one is going to hold everything that is going to be part of my header. The second one is going to hold everything that is going to be part of my middle element, that is going to be like container or content, main content. And third is going to be the footer. So let's go back to my Visual Studio and I'll try to make it this way. So a good way to actually divide everything is using div. So div is like a special type of HTML tag which actually helps you in dividing your elements or grouping your elements, HTML elements, into like a logical groups, right? So this is going to be my first div. So how to write comments here? You can use this syntax to write comments. You need this what we call it as an angular bracket, and then you need to call it the angular bracket, and you need to start with the exclamation mark, then double hyphen, and you need to end with double hyphen. So this is how your HTML comment looks like. So here, let's write, this is going to be my header. Okay, everything that is part of the header will actually come inside here. The second thing that I need to do is need to create it for the main content. So here is where the main content will be. So I'll write main content. And the third thing that I can do is I'll write footer. So here is where my footer will be. So remember guys, this thing that is actually you can see in green, that is header, main content, and footer. These are comments. They actually don't mean anything. I can write anything over here that actually makes it easy for me to understand. What you want to know is this thing. That is, this is my one div, this is my second div, and this is going to be my third div, right? So let's see how it looks. So I'll just write something inside for now, and we'll see how it looks. This is going to be my header. This is going to be our main content, and here this is going to be my footer. Let's save it and see if I'm able to see all of these put together. And it's refreshing. There you go. So I have all the three elements over here. Although there is no styling as of now, so you can definitely see that you cannot see and you cannot actually like see them apart, right? So let's put some little bit of CSS into this, right? The first and very foremost thing that I always do whenever I'm creating something is I change the font because I don't like this font, which is by default there on Windows. So for changing the font, I use the body tag. Why I am using the body tag is because when you talk about styling using CSS, you need to remember one thing, that when you style any element using CSS, it actually automatically applies to all the children elements. All right, so all the children elements, that means it's going to apply to this div, this is going to apply to this div, and it's going to apply to this div. So that's why it's better to have it over here. So let's have a style attribute here. Inside the style attribute, you can write any CSS that you want. Right now, I want to change color. Sorry, I don't want to change the color, but the font style. So to actually change the font style, I need to use this CSS property, and its name is font family column, and it's going to give me a few suggestions that which font these are some fonts that you can actually prefer. Okay, cool. So people are having problem seeing the code, so I'll zoom it a bit, and I'll do one. I'll just stop my video too, so it becomes a bit better, right? So okay, okay. I don't think it's going to change much. All no problem. I'll just zoom in. Okay. Yeah. There you go. So in line number 6, you can see that I'm trying to change the font family. And this is the key that you need to use. And don't worry, you don't need to remember all the keys. And it's just, it comes with practice, like which keys matter and which key actually means a lot. So if you want to change color, so you can use color at this key, like that, right? And if you don't remember the key, that's completely okay. You can always go to Google and find out that which key you need to use first time, right? So here, if I press Control space, that actually gives me a lot of suggestions here. So you can see that I have a lot of options which are already available that I can use. So if I want this font or I want this font, then I want this font, like that, right? So I think Arial would work right now. So I can directly write Arial, but you see, it's actually having a very complicated syntax. But you don't need to worry about it. Even if you write like this, it's going to work. But why that complicated syntax? We'll get to it in just a minute. You see that my phone has changed. But again, going back to this syntax, basically, what happens is the reason why we use this kind of syntax is because, as it was also mentioned yesterday, that your web application is going to run on multiple devices. It's going to run on people who are using Mac OS, people who are using Windows, people who are using Android, who are using iOS, who are using Linux, like that. And it might be possible that Arial is not the font which is already present on their devices, right? So we are just giving an options over here that okay, if Arial is not available on the user device, then please go and select Helvetica. And if Helvetica is not available, then choose any font which is of this category. Okay, so you don't need to worry about the category right now, but this is how you can actually give multiple options. But for now, I don't want to give multiple options. I'll just use it like that. Okay, cool. Now, this is my first thing that is done. Next, let's put some styling over here on the header. So I'll give a height to this header. Let's give it a height of around 80 px, right? And to ensure that we are going correctly, what we can do is I can actually give it a background color, and let's give it a background color of, let's see what we get here. We got that's aquamarine. Fine. Let's try to do same thing here. Style. Let's give it a height of around 300 pixels, and let's give it a background color. Background color could be, let's see, what are the background colors we are talking here? Let's give some light color, uh, something like deep sky blue would work fine, right? And let's go over here. Style equals to, again, I'm going to give it height, and let's give it a height something like 120 pixel, and I give it a background color of something dark, because photos, if they are dark, I like dark photos. So let's give it like dark gray. Even that won't work. Let's give it black one. Save, and let's see the result. Cool, awesome. You can see that we have finally divided our content into three different sections. This is my first section, this is my second section, and this is my third section. But you see the footer, the text is not visible, right? Because text is also in the black, and we have also given it a background color black. So to solve this, it's very simple. I'll actually put the third property over here, CSS property, that is color, column, and let's have it white. Save. There you go, right? And one more thing that you will notice is that there is some border that is coming from all the side, right? At the top, you're having a white border, at the left, at the right, and at the bottom as well. So you can actually remove this border, and these borders are actually a kind of something that is all automatically imposed by browsers, and we don't need those, right? So how to remove these borders is you need to go to your body, and inside body, you can put one more thing. Let's put margin colon 0. Save. And let it refresh. There you go. Now it's looking like a wonderful, beautiful page. Right now, let's move into more details. So we did this thing first. We actually divided our content into three different parts because that was very much obvious. If I want to divide my content and what would be the best way to do it, I think this would be the best way, right? Now the next thing is let's move to the header. So in header we have two subgroups. So first is this. This is going to have a logo, and this is the second one. This is going to have all the navigation links. So let's go over here. This is my header. So let's remove simple text from here and let's create two subfolders over here, plus two subdivisions. So this is going to be my first subdivision. This is going to hold my logo, and this is going to be my second subdivision, and it's going to hold all the links. So let's have all the links. That was home, then about, and contact us. Let's save and see how it looks. There you go, beautiful. Now inside the header is a light green color that you can see. We have two options, that is logo and home, about, contact us. But you will see that they are not coming in a single line. I want everything on a single line. How to do that? For that, we'll give you a very important, very beautiful trick that you can use. But let's get to it in a few more minutes. Let's wait for it, right? The next thing we want to do is this main content. We don't want to just write main content over here. We need two special boxes here. And let's try to put something. Let's see what we can put into all those two boxes. Perhaps we can make it we can make it look like a login page, right? So over at the left side you can have a good form, and at the right side you can have some content. Cool. So that looks good. So we'll do one thing. We'll again divide our main content into two parts. So let's divide it into two parts. Again, two divs here. This is going to be the first div, and this is going to be the second div. Inside the first div has to be a login form. I'm not creating a login form right now, but we'll do it in a while. And then for the second box that I need is filled with content. So let's have something like this. Welcome to Type Nigeria site paragraph. Please log in to continue and explore more about the program. That's like a good one, right? So I'll just control S, save it, and let's move back and see. Awesome. But again, they are like in a single column, I should say, right? Because the login form is one div, and this is going to be like a second div. But both are actually appearing one after the other. I want one at the left and another at the right. So if we learn a technique that we can use to position these two things, I think we should be able to use the same technique to actually position this thing. Of course, we'll do that. Now, next thing is the footer. So again, let's do one thing. Let's put footer as a simple. Footer is a simple thing. So I can put copyright and copyright 2020 the youth project. And of course, I want the youth project to actually go to our website. So for that, I can wrap it up into an anchor tag. There you go. And it's ref, and let's put it. Okay, save and let it refresh. And you see that okay, it's looking good, right? Not that good as of now, but we'll actually make it that way. Okay, fine. Now, I think our basic content is ready. Of course, it's not everything. We need to put a lot of more efforts to make it beautiful page, right? Fine, we are going to do it just right away. But the most important thing, that the most critical thing that I can think of at the moment is I want to position them correctly. I want them to look correctly, like home, about, contact us. This thing should actually appear at the right side, and logo should appear at the left side. Same if we talk about the login form, and if I talk about all these things, login form should appear at the left side, and this should appear at the right side. right? So how to do that? I think let it be zoomed, right? It's actually looking better. Fine. So how can I do that? Hmm. So there are multiple ways you can do that, and I'm going to show one of the most simplest and one of the most modern way that you can use. And it's going to just need around 2 or 3 lines of code for everything that you need to put. And I'm going to just teach you 3 or 4 CSS parameters or keys that you can use for this. Okay? So let's do it. First, let's talk about the header. Inside the header, I am having two things, logo and home about contact us. I want all of them into a single line. So let's do it this way. Here you go. Now, just see the structure. Here you have this structure, and here is the header. Inside this div header, which is starting at the line number 8 and ending at the line number 15, you have two divs or two division elements. First is starting at the line number 9 and ending at the line number 11. And then you have a second one which is starting at line number 12 and ending at line number 14. Right? So I can even minimize this to actually visualize it better. Okay, so this is my parent div, and inside this parent, I'm having two children. First is this one, and second is this one. So one good thing that we can do right now is, so you see that if we are putting a lot of styles over here, it's actually overflowing at the right side, and I don't like that too much. So there is a second way that you can use for styling. So what you can do is inside the head, you can create another tag. Let's make it a style tag over here, and I can copy all these styles. I started from here. I don't want to make it look non-beautiful or ugly, so I can paste it over here. But you see the problem. Like in style, I have said that okay, I need a style that is height should be 80 pixel and the background color should be aquamarine. But how the browser is going to know that this style is actually what is something that I want to apply to line number 11 or this div, right? So for that, what we do is normally we actually just remove this thing first. We give this an ID. So let's give it a ID of header div, right? Now somehow I want to instruct this in the CSS that I want this style to only apply to header div. So what I can do is I'll write syntax like this. Okay. So something similar to if you have like experienced any other programming language where you use curly braces, C++ is there, then you have Java or C Sharp or all those languages, right? Inside that you use curly braces for this. The same thing I'm doing over here. So by this line, what it means is, see, if there is an element with an ID of header div. So we have it on the line number 14, right? Apply this style to that element. So it makes my code look a little bit less ugly, and I don't need to worry about like writing everything in a single line over here, right? Same thing I can do over here for body. I can give it the ID, and here I can use like this. Copy and paste everything from here. But no this style. Cool. So there you go. It's making my code look much more beautiful. Now the second thing is, see, you can have multiple div elements, right? But body is something that you are going to have only one, right? So rather than putting an ID over here, even a second way how I can put a style is, I can directly put a style on the tag. So I have, if I want to put a style on a tag, then at that time I don't really need to use that pound symbol or a hash symbol at the front, right? If I am applying just to the HTML tag. So it is going to find a body tag inside my this HTML document, and it's going to find out that okay, this is my body tag, and please apply this style to that. So this is known as CSS selectors. Using those CSS selectors, you can actually identify different elements. So let me write a comment over here. This is CSS selector HTML tag. So for example, I want to apply something that applies to all the divs, so I can do it like that also, right? And if I want to apply to any specific element, at that time I can use ID. So this way, comment over here, and this is going to be like using ID. Okay, right? So next, let's go back to what we were trying to do. So there you go, still looking the same, but only the thing is that it's less ugly. The code is less ugly, right? Now we were talking about this. That was the header div, and we have two elements inside that we want to be moving from left to right or top to bottom. So let's do that. I'll do one more thing here. That I'll divide this HTML page into two panes. So it's the same file that I'm opening at the left side also and the right side also, right? At the left side, we'll be seeing the HTML code, and at the right side, we'll be focusing on the CSS code, right? So this is my CSS code. Fine. So there is one very important thing. There is one important property, and I really love that property that you can use to position your elements, and it's known as flexbox. So we'll be using flexbox. So first thing that you need to write is for that is display column flex. We get to more details about it in the future, but for now we just need to know that how it works. So just see that I have just written line number 16, that is display column flex. I'll just save it, and let's go back to our browser and see what happens. And you will see that once I have written that display flex, that everything is now in a single row. So our first problem is solved. That if I want everything in a single row, I can write display flex, and everything actually starts appearing in a single row. The second property that I can use is I'm actually saving a line for a third property that I'll introduce a little bit later, and that is justify content. You see there are multiple things over here that you can use, right, for justify content. I will use something that is spaced around. So by the name, like it's plain English, right? It's named that way so that it is easier for us to understand. So when I put this space around over here, okay, this is my justified content and space around. So it should be like very much visible or very much interpretable to you that what this should mean, right? When we actually write text on any like Microsoft Word or any other Google Docs or something, you have an option to justify content, right? You have an option to justify it. So then you have alignment that you can have everything at the left, you want something at the right, you want everything center like that. So let's see what happens when you put space around property to header it. Let's see. And you see what has changed is that now your elements, which are like the logo element and home about contact us, they are having space in between and space at the left side and space at the right side, right? So just by using two properties, we were able to achieve this, right? And you will see that what happens if I put space, like change it to, let's say, center. If I change it to center, you see that every element is now center aligned. They are close to each other, but they are like very much far away from the left side. Yeah, they are very much far away from the right side, right? So that's amazing. So this is a property that you need to remember. One is the display flex, and the second is justify content. Now I like it to be space around. You see, even there are multiple options. There is a space between also. I'll just save it and see. When I put space between, you see that one goes at the extreme left side, another one goes at the extreme right side. So that's not what we want right now, right? So we'll do space around. Cool, save. There you go. But still, you will see that both of these elements are actually stuck to the top, right? Top border of our header, right? These two are actually the sub elements or subdivisions to our header element. You remember this, right? We have this header element that is in green color, right? And here you have these two different sub elements, right? So to align everything in the center of the element, there is a third property that you can use this, that is align items. And I'll make it center. Save. Okay. So now I have logo at the left, I have home, about, and contact us at the right, right? And that is because of justify content. And the second thing is I'm using align items, and using the align items, I'm able to put everything in the center. Now, what if I put something else? Let's say in align items, I don't want it to be center. I want it to be like text end. Let's see what happens. And you see, if I put flex end, then everything actually aligns to the end of the flex element, right? But I want it to be center at movement, so let's make center. See. Now, the same thing can be applied over here too, right? So let's try to do that. So one thing that you need to remember, that you are actually applying these things inside the parent element, right? So I'm not applying it to this logo div. I'm not applying it to the navigation links. I'm applying it to the header div. That please header div do one thing. Please ensure that all of your children, all of the elements which are sub part or child of yours, please align them in the way that I want, right? Now, let's do the same thing with the main content. Again, we'll move the CSS from the style attribute to better looking this style guide, right? So I'll just copy everything here. Just cut it. Let's remove the style. Again, if I want to refer it inside my CSS, I want something. So let's give it a ID. So let's zoom it. Let's give it a ID. And here ID could be content. So let's move to my CSS, and inside my CSS, you say ID paste here. So just to check, I like checking every single time I'm making a good change, right? So that I know that the thing is like broken and everything works fine. Yes. So I am able to see the same styling even now, right? So I'll do one more thing. Now, let's put on the same thing. So the first thing that we need to write is display flex. So let's do that. Display flex, right? Let's save it and see the results. You see that now the login format is at the left, and then this is at the right. So we are able to achieve this left to right positioning because flex. The second thing that I can do is similar to what I did with the header, right? I'll put what? I'll put justify content space around. So this is going to ensure that both of these elements have space in between of them, and also besides the left and then the right. There you go. You see at the left side also we are having some space, at the right side also we are having some space, and then these two elements are also having spaces between. And next wonderful thing that I can do is I can actually ensure that everything is center aligned, right? Because the login form you see is actually at the top side, and I'm not liking it for that much. So let's go over here and let's make it align items, right? Now that looks a bit better. And of course, we don't need just login form. We'll be having text box and buttons over here, but that is something that we can scale at the future, right? Now let's move to the footer side. So in the footer, we are having just a single thing. So let's do it one. Let's do it in the same fashion. So again, first thing we'll do is we'll move the styling from here, that is the style attribute. Let's cut it. Let's go here. Let's remove this style attribute. We're going to have an ID footer. Right. Now let's go to my CSS style sheet. I create an ID over here, footer, and inside that footer, I can write down all the CSS which was already there. There you go. This is my first. This is my second. Good. So again, I can do the same thing. I'll use display flex. Actually, just use let's use just display flex and see the result. Okay, so there you go. I can see there is no result. Why? Because of course it's just having a single element, right? So if there is just a single element, so we cannot like do much about it, right? So the next thing that you can do is if I use justify content, and inside that if I use space around, then let's see what happens. Okay, so if I putting justified content space around, so it's actually dividing my content into two parts. One is the text and another is the hyperlink, but I don't want that. So what is the best way to do that? I think everything should be in the center and it should look wonderful, right? So let's do this. Let's put justify content center. Save and refresh. There you go. Everything is now center aligned. Now, the next thing I need to do is I want to make it center to the footer element. So to make it center to the footer element, I can write my last line, that is line items center. Okay. And here you go. Perfect. Now I think uh, our application looks a bit better. Okay, so we have this problem that, okay, I'm trying to zoom. Sorry if I'm missing somewhere. I'm not able to zoom. Okay, because I normally don't zoom that much. That's why. But anyway, like I am sure that you were able to follow it, right? And this is going to be recorded, so maybe you can see it later stage also. And I'm trying to zoom wherever possible. Okay, and I'll try to use it more often. That's going to help a lot, right? So that's how you are able to like create a very wonderful page. And now let's do something else. Let's try to make a bit better login form. So let's put something here, like this is going to be my heading, right? So let's put it inside my h2 tag. H2, H2. And inside there, the next thing that I can have is I can have a input element. It's used for text box, right? What's good? Text. Now, just by writing this, let's see what happens. You see, you are getting a very wonderful text box over here, right? Where you maybe will be as like writing a username over here. So just to ensure that the user understands that he or she needs to write a username over here, let's put one thing. Let's go over here and let's put another attribute, and that is place. Inside placeholder, let's write enter user. So what is this placeholder attribute? You're going to see just in a minute. Save it, read this, and close it. Becomes easier. There you go. Now you see what is placeholder. The placeholder is something over here that is automatically there. You see the gray tag text over here. That is the placeholder. And whenever I write something, let me write my name. And as soon as I write my name, you will see that the placeholder actually disappears. But if I delete my name, it appears again. So you might have seen this kind of this kind of behavior in most of the login forms that you see online, right? Let's have a second one. So I'll create one more input tag over here. So let's create one more. Copy and paste. Keep it and the password. Let's save it. Zoom out. Let's go over here and see. Okay, so I have enter username. I am able to write something over here, and I am able to write something over here. But in normal password keys that you see online, you realize that when you are writing a password, it's not directly visible, right? So why is that? Let's do one more. Let's go back over here. In the line number 59, where I'm using enter password, I'll do one thing. I'll replace this text with password. So there are two inputs now. first input is text and the another input is password, right? And you see you can have multiple inputs here. You can have a button, you can have a checkbox, you can have a color, you can have a date, you can have an email, you can have a file. So if I put as a file, let's see what happens. Control S, here you go. So when I put it as a file, input element as a file, then you see there is an option to choose a file. So this is what people actually use when they want to like upload an image or something, right? This is how you do it. So anyway, I want to put it password. Let's put it password, save, there you go. And now if I try to write something over here, you see that it actually appears like a password, and you also get a beautiful eye symbol over here. So when I click over here, it automatically shows me the password, and then when I click again, it hides the password. Right? So many of the abilities are automatically by default available to you, that you just need to use it. You don't need to worry much about it. And you see that there is no distance between all both of them. So a better way to do it would be to use CSS, but a small hack that you can always do when you face this kind of problem is between both of these input elements, you can have a PR tag. Right? A BR is like a break rule. So when you use this BR tag, it automatically means at least add a empty space or empty line over here. So let's save it. Let's see. Let it refresh. I think I'll need to write one more BR. Right. So let me write one more BR. Cool. Now it looks good, right? So there is a place to write username, and then there is a place to write password. One thing that we are missing even now is a button. So let's add a button. How to add a button? So there are a few ways you can add a button. One, you can use the button tag, and you can write down your syntax, or you can write whatever you want to be visible. So I'll write login. Let's see. There you go. But again, you see the problem, right? The button tag is actually coming in the same line. So what you can do is I can use BR tag again, and maybe another BR tag. Oh, I need to put it. Sorry, where is it? Yeah. So I need to put it in between of the input element and the button element. So there you now. Okay. Awesome. My login page is now ready. Right? Of course, it's not looking that good, but it's a matter of time, right? Once you get to know a lot of things, that will be very much easier. So yeah, this is slide number 64 where I'm putting a button. The second way how you can put a button is using the input element. And inside the input element, you can have it as a type button. And when you put it like this way, let's see. So you see there is a button, but there is nothing inside, right? You have nothing written over there. So how to fix that? So you know the input element is a type of element that you don't normally close, right? So you cannot write something like this uh, and expect that you can write login over here and it should appear over there. No, that's not how the input tag works. So there is a second property or second attribute that you can use, right? That is value. And inside the value, let's put login. Save. There you go. You see that it's looking like a button again. The third thing that you can use is rather than using a button, submit. Now you will say that what's the difference between button and submit? So that's something that you will study once you know a bit of forms. And it's basically the same thing, but you can have only one submit button inside a single form, and you can have multiple buttons. Right? So everything that is part of a form, like this input element, this password, submit, it's always a good practice to actually enclose it into a form. Right? So that your browser actually knows that all of these things are part of a form tag. Now, if you don't enclose it into the form tag, even that is okay, completely okay, not a big problem. But when you enclose it into a format, you will realize that you will get good intelligence, right? Intelligence might not be the right word, but in most of the websites that you visit and you try to log in, so maybe you are writing your email address here and you're writing a password here. If you press login, it automatically shows you this dialog box, right? That you need to save password, and this is going to be my username, and this is going to be my password. And how does it happen? This happens because of the form. So it's always good to use the good practices, because if you use the good practices, automatically your all the different extensions or your browser or the search engine, all these external factors which are like very important, automatically understands your web pages better, and you are able to code better. So the last thing that we will do in today's lecture is that we have this the youth project written over here, and you see that it's actually in some other color, maybe purple, and I don't like that much. So let's do one thing. Here's my anchor tag, and inside this anchor tag, I can directly write down class, right? But I can directly write down styling, or maybe I can put an ID over here. So let's put an ID. Let's make it an ID of footer and footer link, right? And let's put it here, and let's have an ID here. That is hash footer link, and inside that I write color column white. Now it looks better, right? And but once it is white, it's very hard to like digest the fact that we are able to click on it, right? So it should not be white, it should be some different color. So perhaps another color that I can use for this could be, let's see, maybe something like a light gray. So perhaps this one. Now it looks a bit better, although not that much better. But yeah, again, it's totally up to how much time you want to invest on the website. And once you start getting to know about the pages, how to actually design it, it becomes much more easier. One thing that you guys need to remember is before actually starting to code the web page, very important is try to draw it on any blank canvas, maybe on your computer or even pen or paper. Just you have a blank paper and try to draw what you are actually visualizing, what you want, right? Once you are able to do that, it becomes much more easier for you. So it's good. The first step could be like drawing a very rough sketch on your blank paper. The second thing that you can do is you can try to divide those elements into different parts, like we did it, right? So the first division was, this was my header, this was my content, and this was my footer. So this was like the most at topmost level we divided into this format. And then what we did was we divided the header into two parts. So first was this logo, and then there was home, about, and contact us, like that. And like that, you can actually design a very beautiful page. So if you have any doubt or questions regarding that, this could be the right time to actually go ahead and ask about it. And I think we will just stop at this place for now. But yeah, something that I want to suggest, there is a very wonderful game that you can use. I always suggest to all the students to take this class, and that is flexboxfroggy.com. So you can remember this URL, that is flexboxfroggy.com. And what this website actually does, it's actually a game. It's a very wonderful game. You just need to do a little bit of CSS styling. So when you put, like it's saying that, okay, there is this frog, and this frog needs to go to this leaf, and you can consider this frog to be an HTML element. So if you want this HTML element to put to go at the right, so what is the CSS behind that that you need to write? So it's also showing you that what you need to write. So for example, this is like level 1. So it's showing you over here that we need to write justified content flex end. So as soon as I write this flex end semicolon, automatically my element or my frog actually goes to the right side, and it's on your leaf. Right? So same, let's go to the level 2. and then you have two frogs, and both of these needs to be at the center. So again, we actually saw it in this lecture that if you want both of these to be on the center side, then you can use justify content center, right? So this is these are some good exercises that you can do, and these exercises are actually going to help you in understanding how to position different elements, and that's about it. And so I recommend everyone to please go on this website and complete this 24 level exercise, and it's going to help you in creating good pages. The next thing for tomorrow that you can do is, see, you can try it out. You can try creating a web page like that. Of course, once the web page is created successfully, you don't need any color for this, right? So I can get rid of this blue color, so it's main content, right? So I'll just comment it. See, now it's going to look more professional, right? So there is my header over at the top, and I have a good footer, and then I have this, right? So this is how you can style a good page. Try it out. Try to create your basic web page. Try to create maybe like a login form that we actually saw here, right? With all the elements, like you have a logo at the left, you have different links at the right, then you have login form at the left and in the content, and here you have this text, and then you have a very simple footer which is over here. Then here you can put one more thing, right? Yeah. So rather than using this copyright, there is one very wonderful thing you can use. You can use this syntax, and it's going to show you a normal copyright symbol that you can. Now it looks better, right? You see the code C encircled inside a circle, right? So I hope you were able to follow it along, and I recommend every one of you to please go ahead and actually try to create it, because practice is very important and critical. So if you are not able to practice properly, then it's going to be very hard for you to follow along. Okay, so practice, and you are part of the WhatsApp group. I believe so. So if you are not part of the WhatsApp group, you can share it on the chat window right now, and we'll actually pull you in. That is like specifically for our African friends, where you can ask your doubts and questions. And please try to create this thing. And once you are able to do that, then we can move ahead on the next lecture. And in case you are facing any problem in creating that, then that WhatsApp group is something where you can ask questions. We try to answer them, and not if not us, then there are many other fellow students like you who are learning here, and he will be answering you over there. So that's going to be a good. So if you have any doubt or questions, let's take around 2 or 5 minutes of the more time where you can ask, and then we can wrap up the session. I hope you loved it. And if you loved it, please give us the feedback. We want to know that what was good and what was bad. We'll take this like feedback about the zooming very critically, and we'll ensure that the next sessions are much better. Right. So anyway, other than that, if you have any other feedback that we didn't understand this thing, we want this to be understood again like that, then those things you can ask, and we'll definitely ensure that we cover those things again in the upcoming sessions and in a better way, so that nobody actually misses something. Okay, so I don't see anything in the comment box. Let me see on my YouTube as well and see if we have something. Come on. Cool. So I don't think any comments right now. So okay, so we are good to go. And if you can find any problem, please contact us. You can we recommend you that, and we ask you and we request you to please put on your feedback. Okay, so that we know that what's right and what's wrong. Right. Thank you so much for joining in. This is Gaurav signing off at the moment. Bye bye.